Boys and girls, let's go ahead and get started with today. We've got dot plots and frequency tables. I have kind of a long lesson today, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. Our objective is I can use dot plots and frequency tables to display data. So before we get started today, we're going to be using a little bit of percentages, so I need to remind you. So I just did a quick basic problem here. If we have 6 out of 20 kids have black hair, we're looking at what percentage of the kids have black hair. Okay, now remember percent means out of 100, so I'm going to have, oops, that was the wrong tool. I'm going to have 6 out of 20 kids equals X out of 100. Okay, now I want to make this an equivalent fraction. There's two ways I can do this. Is there a number I can times 20 by to get 100? Yes, it's by 5. So 20 times 5 equals 100. Now if I do same thing up here, times by 5, 6 times 5 equals, that's supposed to be an equal sign, 30. So that means 30% of the kids have black hair. So that's one way. Another way you could do it, especially if your denominator doesn't equally get to 100, you could do 6 out of 20 and then do 6 divided by 20. Well, 20 doesn't go into 6, so we know that, so we'll put a decimal. 20 does go into 60 3 times, which is 60, that's even. Okay, which is 0. Don't need to bring anything else. Now remember, we move our decimal over 2 spaces, and it gives us 30%. Again, super fast review. If you need any more help with those percentages, make sure that you ask a teacher and aide to help you out with it. We will be using those today. Let's jump in to the definition of a dot plot. A dot plot is a number line with marks that show the frequency of data. So here we have a picture of a dot plot of random values. It is a number line. See the number line 0 through 9. And then it will have a whole bunch of little dots on top of those numbers. Now every dot shows how many times that number occurred. So let's say that this is, the random values is how many pets people have. So if someone has 0 pets, then that is represented in this one dot. If someone had 1 pet, it's represented in this dot here. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people had 2 pets, or whatever this data is representing. Frequency is the number of times a data value occurs. I like to think of it as tally marks. Okay, so that's how often did it happen. So I put a clock here. It's how often, the number of times did we check it off because it occurred. Okay, write those definitions in your notebook. We'll start off with our first problem. We're going to be first working with dot plot. So let me get my pen out here. So this is a dot plot problem. Oops. Alright, so Hannah is training for a walkathon. The table shows the number of miles she walks each day. She has 1 day left in her training. How many miles is she most likely to walk on her last days? So we have here a chart with a random, whole bunch of random data showing on one day she walked 4 miles, on another day she walked 2, on another day she walked 9. They're not in order, they're just random. And it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 days that she walked. She's on her last day, and we need to know what do we think will be the most likely number of days that she walked on her last day. So our step 1 is we're going to draw a number line with an appropriate scale. So what's our lowest number of miles that she walked at that time? Take a look. Hopefully you see this 1 right here. So she walked 1 mile, that's the lowest one. And the highest I see is 9. Okay, so I'm going to use a scale from 0 to 10. So I'm going to draw me a number line. Draw myself a number line. Sorry, that was the wrong pronoun. I'm going to number it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, she would have started at 13 miles and the most she walked was 50, we wouldn't have started at 0, okay? And that you'll see in a later example. Alright, step 2. For each piece of data, plot a dot above the number that corresponds to the number of miles Hannah walked. So what that means, I'm going to get a little bit bigger of a marker here, is I'm going to look at this first piece of data. She walked 4 miles on one day. So I'm going to go to my number line. I'm going to find 4, and I'm going to place a dot to represent that 4. Okay? I'm going to cross it off. Then a 2. Go to 2, mark it once. A 9. You see what I'm doing here? 3. Oh, look, we have another 3. So that means we're going to still do another dot on top. Again, think like tally marks. 5. Now I'm just going to fill this in real quick here. Go a little faster. Wish I could have like a cool fast forward button on this, but I don't. Now remember, this is called a dot plot. Wow, look, she walked a lot of 5s. Couple of days of 9, 3, 2, and 4. Okay, so we completed the dot plot by making the correct, sorry, I'm reading right here, number of dots above the numbers 5 through 10. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry, someone's car alarm went off. It wasn't our car, though. We double checked. Okay, so we went ahead and filled in our dot plot. Can you tell how many miles she walked the most days? The number of miles Hannah walked most often is the value with the tallest stack of dots. That's going to be this stack right here. It is for 5 miles. So, it is most likely, that looks like it says smiles, it says 5 miles, that she will probably walk 5 miles on the last day. But again, you could argue that maybe she'd walk 6 or 7, but she never did. Other than one time of 6 miles. I doubt she'll walk 9 miles that day. The most common thing she's done is 5-mile walks. Okay, next problem. So here I have a set of data for you. Whoops, sorry, I was trying to make that bigger, it didn't work. There we go. Here's a set of data for you. This is Gloria's daily sit-ups. So I want you to go ahead and pause your video now. You do not need to put this chart into your notebook. You just need the dot plot. The data dot plot. Sorry, that's a tongue twister. Go ahead and pause and fill it in on your own. Alright, so I went ahead and set up my number line. I'm going to put in the but I noticed that my lowest daily sit-ups is she did 3 sit-ups. It's not even worth getting down on the floor to do 3 sit-ups, but that's what Gloria did. Her highest days were 15 sit-ups. So I went ahead and marked my number line from 3 to 15. I thought about doing 0 to 20, but I didn't have enough room. Now, one thing I want you to notice is that I did include all numbers, even if they're not on the chart. I did include 3 through 15. This is called a range or an interval, okay? So then I would start putting my dots on. Let's switch colors. Started with a 13. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and fill this in so you can see it in just a moment. Alright, so here I have gone through and plotted all my dots on my dot plot. So yours should look something like mine. Now it's totally fine that we have a whole bunch of empty numbers here. We still need to include them, even though they did not have any dots on them, okay? Alright, hopefully that was pretty clear. If you have any questions, please ask your questions. If not, feel free to move on to the next part. Okay, this next part we're going to learn 2 new kinds of tables, but they're often stuck together. So a frequency table shows the number of times each data value of range of values occurs. Or range of values occurs, sorry, I read that wrong. So, taking a look at Ricardo's lap swimming. It's how many times he went around the swimming pool. From 3 to 7, he did it 4 times. So he had, and it's kind of hard to explain until we see the problem, but the number of laps, if it was between 3 and 7, that happened 4 times. So 3 to 7 would include 3 laps, 4 laps, 5 laps, 6 laps, or 7 laps. 8 to 12 would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 through 17, 13, 14, 15, 16, or 17. And then 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Okay, so all of those numbers, if he got a 3, 4, 5, 6, or a 7, it would go in this, this part here. Okay, so these are called ranges or intervals. You'll need to work with those in a minute. And then when we talk a relative frequency table, that's the percentage of each time a piece of data of a group of data occurs. And we're going to do that again in a moment. So first let's start with the frequency table problem. Now Jill kept a record of her workout times. How many of Jill's workouts lasted exactly 90 minutes? So let's take a look. We're going to make a frequency table. Step 1 is list the workout times in the first column. So here's our table that we're working with. Okay. In the first column, they wanted us to list the types of minutes she had. So she had a 30-minute workout, or a 60-minute, looks like another 30, a 90-minute, and 120 minutes. Okay. Now, it looks like they already did number 1 for us. She had 7 30-minute workouts. So let's check those off. 30 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and oh, there it is, 7. So she had 7 30-minute workouts. Let's see how many 60-minute workouts she had, because that's what I'm going to put here in my frequency. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How many 90 minutes? 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 4, and 120 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like she had, the question says, is all of, how many 90-minute workouts did she have? Looks like we can see. So 4 of Jill's workouts lasted exactly 90 minutes. And what they really wanted us to do was this frequency table, and that's how we did it here. We figured out the different number of times it happened, and then we counted how many times it occurred. It's kind of like a dot plot. You could easily turn this into a dot plot, right? You could do a 30, 60, 90, 120. And you could just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is a very quick one. 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could easily turn that information into a dot plot, or take the information from a dot plot and put it onto a frequency table. Okay, so now I have a try. Alright, so your try it problem, you're actually going to see Gloria's sit-ups again. This is the same set of data that we did in our first try it problem, but now you're going to list it instead of a dot plot, you're going to do it as a frequency table. Whoops, where's my laser? There it is, a frequency table. So I already set it up for you. Here you're going to put the number of sit-ups, and you're going to put the frequency. Now you'll notice I don't have all of the numbers 3 through 15 listed. You're going to put a range. So we're going to say if she did between 3 to 7 sit-ups, how many goes here? If she did between 8 and 10, or 11, nope, sorry, I got my numbers off again. 3 to 6, 7 to 10, and 11 to 15. So go ahead and pause it and try it on your own. You're going to have numbers, a number in each of these columns, okay? Go ahead and try it on your own. Okay, let's go ahead and check your work. I'm going to take my chart, move it down a little bit, and I'm going to do some tally marks. So as I go through this, I'm going to say 13. Where would 13 fall in the range? Should be right here. A 3 be in this one. And I'm doing tally marks over here on the side, and then I'll count my tally marks and put the number in the frequency spot. 14 be in this one. 13 would be right here. 12, 12, 13, 4 would be in this one. 15, 12, 15, 13, 14. Oh, there's going to be a lot in that one. 3, 11, still in this one. 13, 13, 12, 14, 15, 11, 14, 13, 15, and 11. Okay, so the frequency of 3 to 6 was 1, 2, 3 times. Oh, that was a funky looking 3. 7 to 10, there were 0. And 11 to 15, 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22 times. And there's my frequency table. Okay? Alright, so let's go to the next part. Alright, here is the relative frequency table. Now, when you think of the word relative frequency, you should think of the word percents. Okay? It is percents. Except I'm going to move that because now it's in the way. Whoa! Ah, sorry, I'm messing up my slide here. There we go. Now this table shows the number of laps Ricardo swam each day. So here's Ricardo's lap swimming. Here's the table with all the data. What percent of the days did Ricardo swim 18 or more laps? So, looking over here, what percentage of these days are 18 or more? Now, look down here. They have the steps listed. If you are a step 1, step 2, step 3 type of person, you can use these. If not, then you can just kind of listen to how I'm going to explain it. The number of laps between 3 to 7 happened 4 times. The number of laps between 8 and 12 was 6. The number of laps between 13 and 17 was 7. And the number of laps 18 or more was 3. Now, you'll notice the relative frequency, they've already started putting them into percentages. Remember, a percent is out of 100. There were not 100 days of laps that Ricardo swam. So what they did is they said, how many days did he swim in total? What was the whole number of days he swam? And if we count all of our data, we should have 20 days that he swam. So that's going to be our denominator, 20. So Mr. Twisdale just played with little Felicity's toy. Sorry. Okay, troublemaker. Now, looking at 3 to 7, if 4 of those days were between 3 to 7 mile laps, then out of 100, how many days, what's the percentage? 20 times 100, 20 times 5 equals 100, so 4 times 5 equals 20%. Okay, that's how they got this 20% here. Now the frequency with 6, I'm going to erase this. We're going to take 6 out of 20. And it should give us, to get 20, or to get 100, we times by 5. 6 times 5 gives us 30%, which matches them. Now we have, oops. Now let's do the ones that aren't filled in. So we're still working with 20 laps total. If there are 7 laps in the frequency, what percentage is that? Again, we're multiplying by 5. 7 would be 35%. And last but not least, we're looking at 18 out of 22, which is 3 out of 20, which equals, we can multiply by 5. 3 times 5 gives me 15%. They asked us what percentage of the days did Ricardo swim 18 or more laps. That would be 15% of those days. Okay, so the relative frequency is just breaking it into percentages. If we added up 20, 30, 35, and 15, we should equal out to 100%. Okay, which it does. Actually, I just did it in my head, and it does add up to 100%. All right, you ready for your... So, again, the same... there we go. The same data set. You've got Gloria's daily sit-ups. I'm going to pause and quickly fill in the numbers we had already set up from our last chart, and then we need to find the relative frequency or the percentages. Alright, so I filled in the chart for you. If you haven't started doing your percentages yet, go ahead and start now and pause your video. If you are already completed, then just wait and I will solve for the rest in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to start with the 7 to 10% because there was 0 frequency. I know that the percentage is still 0. That one's easy. Now, 3 and 22, I need to know what my total is. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mr. Twisdale, you're trouble. And so I'm looking here. Looks like I have 25 total. If I have 3 out of 25 and I'm looking to make 100%, I can multiply 25 by 4 to get 100. So if I multiply 3 by 4, it should give me 12%. And then 22, I'm going to do over here, 22 still out of 25 times equals 100. 25 times 4 equals 100. 22 times 4 equals 88. 88%. And there's my relative frequency in those percentages. That's the whole lesson for today. Remember, we did dot plots, frequency tables, and relative frequency, which is those percentages. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And good luck on your practice and homework. Have a great day.